Hello, team, and welcome back. This time, part two of two for week four, largely motivational theory. But I'm gonna take a step back and discuss just PESTLE for a second. PESTLE is an acronym. There are many like it, but this is the most common. It's from a Harvard researcher, professor. It's an acronym that stands for political, economic, social, technical, legal, and environmental. And frankly, it's a conversation starter when you're discussing strategy and goals and how to tie them together. So, part of being competitive as a company means you're looking for a competitive advantage. And competitive advantage can be defined as the capability or set of capabilities, maybe, or resources or set of resources, I suppose, that gives your company an advantage over its rivals, right? Which otherwise the Latin term ceteris paribus applies. That means, ceteris paribus means all things being equal, right? So you're looking for this competitive advantage that all things being equal, ceteris paribus, leads to a higher relative profitability. So we can use PESTLE analysis as managers in transformation to gain a better understanding of the opportunities and threats that we face when we're strategic goal setting. So consequently, this analysis is going to help us build a better vision and set of goals for the future business landscape and how we as a company might compete more profitably. Because consider when rivals firms when they undercut our profit margins aggressively to gain some revenue or maybe to gain some market share, industry competition intensifies around this acronym. And so the competition intensity is reflected in the profit margins is going to fluctuate dramatically over time. So there is this link between strategy, competitive advantage, and profitability through PESTLE. So that's an important link to understand when setting clear vision and goals. Okay, now we turn to the conversation of motivation. So, motivation is important because motivation becomes the force within a person that affects direction, it affects intensity, it affects an individual's persistence in their voluntary behavior. That's the basic definition of motivation. And so motivation refers to this internal state that activates within us and gives direction to our thoughts. I could have a whole conversation. Oh, I meant to change slide. A whole conversation with you today about your motivation to be a part of the University of North America, right? Consider that. What are the forces within you that affect your direction, your intensity, and your persistence in this voluntary college endeavor, this behavior? So as a manager that transforms, if you're looking for cues or clues, rather, if you're looking for clues as a manager, note that there are external cues that play an important role for all motives. So you're looking at your employees and looking for cues that are going to give you clues towards motivation. And you may also note that primary motives are based on biological needs. I think that's all very interesting. So as we look at motivation, right, we understand that motivation can inspire and it can encourage and it can stimulate individuals and teams to achieve great things. And so motivation can also create an environment, not just individuals, but an environment. We call that the culture, right? That fosters teamwork and collective initiatives to reach these common goals and objectives that we were just setting in the previous conversation. So the level of motivation of an individual or a team member applies to their efforts, and it can affect all aspects of the team's results. It can have a direct impact on the success factors that you've established as well. So knowing this as a manager that transforms, it's in your best interest to understand the motivation and even the demotivation causes in order to understand how we can drive towards our team's success by creating and maintaining a motivating environment for all of our team members, right? Stimulating team member performance is going to require you as managers that transform to harness a lot of different skills. Some we've talked about already. Good interpersonal skills, EQ, EI, we referred to it as, including good communication. We talked about active listening, including the ability to train others, to make decisions, to lead by example. We talked about that in leadership, to create a positive motivational environment by understanding and associating with the key components of motivation. So unlike a lot of tangible functions that we do as managers and leaders, motivation is not designated by the manager to a team member. Like you might designate to a team member, you do quality management, you do quality metrics, you manage the scope or the requirements of the project, etc., right? Motivation is a little bit different. It's more intangible, right? And so instead, motivation is internal to each team member. And motivation is derived from the individual team member's desire to achieve a goal, their willingness to accomplish a task, their voluntary work towards some expectation. So I think motivation can be considered a conduit of ambition applied to the desired accomplishment that we are looking for. So we have to ask ourselves, what really motivates us, right? That's the root question. Personalities, management styles, are we hardwired for motivation, right? So as the manager that transforms, you have to figure out what motivates individual team members and make it apply to the individuals on your team. Motivating by rewards and letting individuals grow professionally is generally considered the very best approach. Okay, so keep that in mind along the way. Okay, now I want to move that so you can see Maslow's hierarchy. Now, Maslow, there are a couple of motivational theories on this slide. One is McGregor's theory X, theory Y. And basically, McGregor says that all workers fit into one of these two groups. That if you're a theory X manager, as a manager, you're going to feel that people need to be watched, that they are generally unmotivated, that they dislike work, that they're selfish, and they need benefits in order to be motivated. But as a theory Y manager, which I think evidence shows is a better work environment for collaboration, for collegiality, for innovation, and to develop a high-performing team, a manager is going to think of people can work without supervision, that people generally want to achieve and need freedom from management, basically, right? And so I think we saw some of that. If you go to YouTube and type in Deming, D-E-M-I-N-G, Red Bead Experiment, it's a 9-minute YouTube video. It's one of the points they make. Managers get in the way quite often. So why is the approach that project managers and all good managers should utilize? Now, Maslow, as you can see in the next one, identified categories of needs, right? And these are the 5 categories: psychological, safety, love and belonging, esteem, self actualization. And the highest motivation that someone can achieve is self actualization, right? But you start always trying to meet your psychological needs first, right? So we can't move from a lower level to the next level until this need is fulfilled. When your physiological needs are fulfilled for food and shelter, right, then you can move on to safety needs like building a home, saving money, keeping things safe. Once you have psychological and safety, you can move on to love and belonging. You seek relationships and then esteem and self-actualization. That's Maslow's approach. It Let's see, with Maslow, it does include belongingness, includes safety and esteem and self-actualization among these steps, right? Notice that power, which is common to a lot of theories, is not one of them in Maslow's hierarchy. Kind of interesting. You will use as managers variations of these because some people are motivated by theory Y. Some people are motivated by Maslow. And then some people are motivated by McClelland's theory of needs. You have to assess that as the manager. So as you try and figure out what motivates your individuals, how can you reward them? How can you help them to grow professionally? So David McClelland discusses secondary needs that he considered important as a source of motivation. McClelland's theory of needs, it's called, focuses on achievement, affiliation, and power. Power sometimes gets a bad rap. Here it's meant in a good way. It's the people who need power that's more socially oriented, right? It's positive, it's building up, it's helping the group. Now, I love Herzberg's theory, which is sometimes just called Herzberg's hygiene theory. And I know I highlighted the H and H to help you remember that. And basically, Herzberg's has 2 pieces to it: hygiene and motivating agents. Motivating agents, Herzberg says, are responsibility, self-actualization, professional growth, recognition. This sounds a lot like Maslow. So I agree with that. I also agree with part 2. Herzberg says, look, not only are there motivating agents, but there are also hygiene factors to be aware of. Hygiene would be things like your working conditions, your salary, your personal life, your work relationships. And Herzberg would make several points that good hygiene is not sufficient to motivate, right? And also, Herzberg would say fixing bad hygiene does help motivate. So if you have a really bad working condition, rats running around, paint peeling on the walls, fixing that does motivate. But if you have a good working conditions, good hygiene, maybe not the best office space in the world, but it's got air conditioning, it's got a TV monitor, you've got multiple screens, right? Improving that does not motivate. Why spend your money? So making good conditions better does not motivate, would be his point. But if you have poor hygiene, it can destroy motivation. So it helps you focus where you put your money. Another theory is contingency theory, right? That leaders sometimes lead, some leaders, and we all know them, who are good in a stressful environment. They're very task oriented and directive. Others are very good in a calm environment. What I found in the military is you had this stress or calm leader, and you had very few people who could make the transition as was needed. So that would be something that someone will work on. A couple more theories just to close it out. Theory Z focuses on increasing employee loyalty, etc., promotes a stable environment. And then expectancy theory, right? What will be rewarded, right? There's an expectancy that leads to high performance. Okay, here are some theories. Notice that in these theories of motivations, there are content theories, need theories, and how theories, but this is enough for this course right now.